Also very weird when it comes to George Zimmerman is that Addicting Info and others are now writing that George Zimmerman may have scammed a bunch of the gun nuts that donated money to his defense fund and may never even have paid his attorneys. There was this interview. So after the altercation involving George Zimmerman and Shelley Zimmerman, his estranged, soon-to-be ex-wife, Mark O'Mara, Zimmerman's lead attorney alongside Don West, said that he is not going to be representing George Zimmerman in this criminal and any further criminal proceedings. And when Piers Morgan asked him during an interview whether he is going to be, or rather during an ABC interview, he was asked, Mark O'Mara was asked, what would you advise George Zimmerman to do? Mark O'Mara said, pay me. Now, initially, some people assumed he's just saying as a lawyer generally, if he wants my help, he should pay me. But there's been some investigation done into this, and it really appears as though George Zimmerman still has not paid his attorneys, Lewis. If you go on to his website, there is a George Zimmerman Defense Fund kind of like spending outline. And if you look at how the money says it was spent, there were $314,000 raised. It shows a $95,000 expense for bail. Okay, that's fine, but that should have been returned by now since he was rendered a not guilty verdict. That really shouldn't be part of the expenses because he should have that money back. Then it shows that he spent about $62,000 for 8 months of living expenses. Okay, fair enough. That doesn't include his private security, which for 8 months was an additional $56,000. Then if you leave that page and go to another page, which is called Moving Forward, it talks about how are future donations going to be spent. Perfectly reasonable question. How will he continue spending this money? And it says that his living expenses and private security are going to be the biggest expenditures going forward. And then later on down the page, there's a heading called Case-Related Expenses. And it says very clearly, Lewis, Mr. O'Mara and Mr. West have not been paid for their services. Money has been used to pay rent for office space, for IT support, and for staff dedicated to the case. So by his own admission, and it's been several months since this page was updated, maybe things have changed, George Zimmerman has not even paid his attorneys. Did George Zimmerman's attorney drop him because he's a bad client with a bad payment history, and it's becoming abundantly clear that he's getting into more legal trouble and may continue not to pay? We have to consider the possibility.
Well, I'm not really sure how this payment is supposed to work. I mean, at what point is the first payment supposed to be made to your
Most of the
attorney?
time, Lewis, most of the time, you put a retainer down right when you hire the attorney. I talked to a couple of defense attorneys this morning, and most of them said, you know, generally when I open something up, I kind of estimate what the total cost is going to be. If it's like a DUI defense, for example, I might say, okay, we've got to put $1,500 into escrow as a retainer, and then I'll pay myself out of that, and then we'll see where we are. Of course, it would make sense that they wouldn't have that right away because it was just such a high-profile case. Mark O'Mara wanted to get on it. But that's generally, in normal cases, that's the way it works.
Right. I suppose in a case like this, the fame aspect, the celebrity aspect is something that's appealing to these people, and they might keep going without being paid.
No question about it.